Welcome to Cedar Creek Homestead, and welcome to Porch Talk today here at the Homestead, our weekly little time we get aside and just talk about the goings on of the homestead and what's going on in the homestead and prepping community. And today's subject's going to be, does it pay to be prepared, or does it pay to prepare? However you want to put it. And I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. The short answer to that is yes, it does pay to prepare. Before I get into the subject and explain a little something that happened to us and why it pays to prepare, we've reached 1,000 subscribers, and to celebrate that, if you are a subscriber, this week, August 19th through the 24th, 2019, if you, one of the videos, or every video this week, if you will comment, you'll be entered into a drawing. And every time you comment, that ups your chances. You only get entered once per video. I usually have a video on Tuesday nights, which is Porch Talk. Monday night I have a little comedy one I'm trying to do with my twin brother Earl. Just kind of a goofball one, but if you want to watch that and comment, why, all you got to do is say hello, whatever. And then Thursday night's cattle talk, and then in between here and there will be other little videos. But what I wanted to say was, if you enter, you're entered every time you comment, and one comment per video, so you could enter for however many videos we put up this week, 4 or 5 chances there to win. And it's going to be 2 $50 gift certificates to Tractor Supply. So two chances, 2 winners, and there'll be a gift certificate for $50. So we want you to be a subscriber. If you're not a subscriber, you won't qualify. Some people keep their subscriptions private. So if you comment and we check and you're not a subscriber, when you win and we announce who the winners are here, then next week when we announce the winners, we'll get with you, and you'll just have to be honest about it. You're either a subscriber or you're not. If you're not a subscriber, you'll have to tell us, and that disqualifies you. But if you are a subscriber, we'll for sure know those that have their subscriptions public. There's a way that you can set your subscriptions to be private, and that's however there. I don't mind that. I'll just trust that you are. If you tell us you are, we'll trust that you are. So anyway, we reached 1,000 subscribers, and we're so thankful for that. And appreciate all of you that have subscribed and all the wonderful comments. We've had a lot of comments lately on the videos, and I've actually been surprised. Our first video that went for 4,000 or 5,000 views was a cattle video, and one day I noticed that this particular video, it just went crazy, or I thought was crazy. I know some of you that's got, 80, 100,000 subscribers or 1 million or whatever, that's no big deal to you, but to me, I was like, what's wrong with that video? So I went and checked it, and I was thinking maybe my dog was doing somersaults in the background. It was a cattle video, and I was surprised at how many people had actually watched that video. And it seems like folks are really getting into the prepping, the food preservation, homesteading type videos right now is becoming very popular, and it seems like there's a growth towards that, and I think that's what has helped our channel grow here like it has. But we're excited to be at 1,000. I never thought we'd get that big. I never thought that would be possible. But lo and behold, in a little over a year's time, we've reached 1,000, and like I say, to some that's not nothing, but to us it's a big thing, and we sure appreciate your subscriptions and your comments. And anyway, we're going to get on to our video today. I just wanted to say this past week we've had, last 10 days, we've had almost 3 inches of rain here, and praise the Lord. We had a couple inches at one time, and then just a day or so ago we had an inch of rain. chances coming up throughout this week. So we've got, I'm so thankful for the rain, and just little rains here and there, but 3 inches is a lot in August. And it's been hot though. We've been under heat advisories and extreme heat warnings, and typical for August. We've had a pretty typical summer, although it gets up around 100, but not the extreme over 100. But that's normal to get up around 100 degrees for August. That's normal for us. But we've had some summers the past few years where it'll get up over 100 and over 100 for several days. So that really is rough on your garden stuff when it gets that hot. And anyway, I want to get on here. Does it pay to prepare? And the answer, as I've already said, is definitely yes, it does pay to prepare. I first started watching YouTube videos maybe 3 years ago, 2 to 3 years, something like that. And first channel I got to watching was a channel called Deep South Homestead with Danny and Wanda. And I like instructional videos, and I got to watching things that they were doing in their garden, and the way that Danny would plant things. And he had planted sweet potatoes, and he used a little forked stick, and he was poking them down in the ground, and he showed how he was getting his starts. And I really liked that. And there was other things he went along showing, different videos, and just kind of got me hooked on watching YouTube. And I was kind of resistant to watch stuff like that. Wasn't really, other than what I had to do for work, I just wasn't really into the stuff all that much. And so my wife one day, she said, "You need to watch this channel with me." And then they started doing a live stream. I don't know how long they've been doing that, but in the summer months especially, we love to sit out here on our back porch and watch their live stream on Saturday nights at 8 o'clock. And since then, I've got so many channels that I'm subscribed to, I can't even watch all the videos. But my most important ones, I click the little bell icon out beside where you subscribe. You can click that, and then it'll let you know when they post new videos. So I've been doing that, and I really enjoy that a whole lot. Nothing like a good old glass of iced tea on a summer day. But anyway, Danny over there at Deep South Homestead, they have been very gracious to us, and we'd had a funny thing happen. One of their subscribers had gotten upset with us, and so I contacted them and talked to them, and Danny had said, well, what we was doing is I called my porch time that I have here, porch time. And that's what he calls his. Now I've noticed there's some others. There's one little old granny woman that has a deal called porch time or granny time or something. So well, let's call mine porch time. Well, anyway, one of them got upset with us, but Danny told us, it was okay. But I got to think about it. I thought, well, he calls his porch time, and this lady had suggested that we call ours Porch Talk. So I said, I'm just going to name it Porch Talk. And so I started to call it Coffee Time, something like that, but I'm going to call it Porch Talk, and it seems like that's all right. That'll catch. Really don't matter the name. I have my thing, he has his, and I was thinking we're really not no threat to him because, his subscribers, he's God's loyal to him, and there ain't no problem, and we ain't trying to steal nobody from him, nothing like that. And I was thinking it was kind of funny. I was like, now his subscribers surely know who he is. That's very distinctive because I'm so much better looking that I know they wouldn't get me and him mixed up. And I'm just joking there. But anyway, I wanted to share something that he does on his channel. He's coined a phrase called life-changing event. And when something tragic happens to you in your life, why some call it another term, and I don't really like that term. I don't talk vulgar. I don't talk say naughty words, things like that. I don't cuss, and it's not into that. If you are, that's your business, whatever. But I ain't criticizing people who do. I'm just not going to use it. So he come up with a thing called LCE, or life-changing event. So I am copying this from his channel today, but I sure do appreciate them and what all they've done. And I just want to say a big thank you to Danny and Wanda and Deep South Homestead. But anyway, on a life-changing event, you have it's something that affects your life that's serious. It could be, you could have a house burn, you could have get hit by a tornado, could be earthquake, could be a food shortage, many different things. Could be a medical thing. And I'm going to share with you what happened to me in a medical situation. About 2 years ago, life was going along normal for us here. And we were building our homestead here. We have cows. I have a business. Everything was just going on. We go to church. We go to a little bitty church, but we're very active participants in our little church that we go to. And everything was just humming along fine. But about 10 years prior to that, I had started getting this terrible heartburn feeling. And I'd first noticed it, I'm not going to go into all the details, but I first started noticing getting this feeling in my chest here of a severe heartburn. And I took my boy, when he was little, they have a youth turkey season here in Oklahoma. And I took him to that, and like I say, it's been about 12 years now, but at that particular time, 10 years prior to finding out what was wrong with me, I had took him hunting, and I'd hurt, and I'd stop every once in a while, and the pain would go away. I never got short of breath, nothing else, nothing that was typical with heart problems. But so I finally studied it out a little bit on the internet and pulled up a few times the symptoms I was having, and I thought I was having a hiatal hernia. So, with all of my extensive medical knowledge that I have, and so all that plus mixed with the Google knowledge, I determined that I had a hiatal hernia. And there were some people that had videos on. Be careful what you watch on YouTube. I mean, what you watch on YouTube or Google or whatever, just take some common sense approach to it, because there's people out there that said they're going to think you have something wrong with your heart, and it's not going to be, and they're going to operate on you, and you're going to feel like a dummy when they're all through, and there was nothing wrong, and all you had was a hiatal hernia. And yes, that would make you feel like a dummy, so I understand that part. But I had myself convinced that I had myself diagnosed. But I went a 10-year spell, and it got worse and worse and worse. And when I was active, like tilling the garden, I'd have to stop 2 or 3 times. At first, it was maybe once when I would garden. About halfway through, I'd stop. Then it got to where about every other row or so, I don't have a humongous garden, but I'd have to stop, kill the tiller, go sit down a while, and the pain would quit in here. And I'd feel like I needed to belch, and sometimes I would belch, and I thought it helped it. But like I say, I never got short of breath. I worked every day. Everything was fine, and it just got worse and worse and worse. And at the end of about a 10-year span, I go to my doctor. I've always had very high cholesterol. Never had high blood pressure, nothing like that. And I just went to my doctor for my yearly checkup, and I said, Doc, I had a couple little places here on my nose I wanted him to check, and he said, well, anything else? As I thought they might be like skin cancers or whatever. And I told him, I said, yeah, I've got tingling in my feet, like needles sticking in there, and I thought I might have high sugar. Could you check that? And sure enough, they checked my blood work. In a few days, he called back and he said, yeah, you're diabetic. You got to get fixed for that. Now I've got that under control, thank the Lord, and through dieting and stuff, and I don't have to have medicine. I'm still on a metformin once or twice a day, one metformin in the morning, one in the evening. But my doctor did say that on my next visit they'd probably take me off of that. At first I'd take shots and everything for the sugar. But anyway, while I was there, he says, is there anything else? And I said, yes, there is. I said, I've got bad heartburn, and I wondered if you could give me a high-powered heartburn medicine. And so he had me explain what was going on, and he said, I don't think you have heartburn. He said, I'm going to go ahead and give you a prescription for it. But he said, I think you have a heart problem. And I said, well, I think I have a hiatal hernia. And he kind of grinned. I've known him for a long time, and do work for him and his wife, and he's just pretty honest with you. And he said, well, I'll give you the prescription, but I don't want you doing anything, don't want you doing anything strenuous for a while. I want you to take it easy. I said, okay, we can do that. Well, in the meantime, we had been prepping, whatever you want to call it. We had food put back. We had enough food to live on for at least a year, and we have enough beans and some things like that put back that we could live a whole lot longer. And I'm telling you, the Lord had led me to this probably 15 years ago to get started doing this. There was a reason for it, but I began to prepare, and I still feel that same calling to prepare. I've also felt a strong calling to tell other people that you need to be prepared. And so I'm going to say this on being prepared, though. I don't want to ever get like the man in the Bible that he said, I'll tear down my barns and I'll build new ones. This is in the New Testament, little story there. That he says, I'll tear down my new ones, I'll build new barns, and then I'll sit back and say, soul, you can relax and take it easy. But the Bible says, it says, thou fool, your soul's going to be required of you today. Or tonight. So I thought, I don't want to ever get to the point that I think I don't need God, because I will always need God, and God is center and first place in my life, and He's first place here at our homestead, and He has been I've been to church my whole life, and I've always said that I had a drug problem when I was a child. My dad drugged me to church. He drugged me to Sunday school. My dad, mom did that. When we went to every service, if there was revival, you went every night. If you went to vacation Bible school, we went to every vacation Bible school around this area here. The Church of Christ have one, the Baptists have one, the Pentecostals would have one, the Independents would have one. If it was within driving distance, my mama took us, and I think it's to get rid of us, but she took us to vacation Bible school. And it never did us any harm. It was a good thing for us, and I thank God that they did that and they took us to church. And I got saved at an early age. I've served the Lord, and I've never been sorry for it, and I ain't ashamed of it. If you don't want to hear that, I'm sorry, but I'm not ashamed of serving the Lord. I realize there's different flavors of religion, of Christianity, and there's so many out there, and there's some going to say we ought to do it this way, and another says you ought to do it that way, and that's everybody's own opinion. And I don't mean to get on a soapbox here and preach to everybody today, but I'm so thankful that to put God first, and I just want to recognize, and I want everybody to know, no matter how much food we put back, no matter how much water we have back, no matter what all we do here at our homestead, we cannot make it without God. And He's first and foremost. So if you want to know who's backing me, it's God. God's backing my homestead. He's backing my life. And I believe God was telling me 15 years ago, He knew we were going to have a life-changing event, or an LCE, as they've been coining that, but something that was going to change our lives, and I was getting prepared for it. We were working, canning, preparing, had a little money put back. We did not have a whole lot of money put back, but we were out of debt. That was another thing I had felt the Lord dealing with me, was to get out of debt, so we did. And didn't owe nothing big, didn't owe on our automobiles, didn't owe on our home. Just when we had our bills, we could make it on very, very little. I had a business, and here I am. Before this time also that I found out that I had a heart condition, the doctor, or not the doctor, I had also felt led an opportunity come along to get cheap, what I thought was cheap health insurance. And I had the opportunity to just come up, and we got it. And it was what I consider kind of a cheap premium, because I had checked before and they wanted $1,200-$1,500 a month, and this was a whole lot. I can't remember the amount, but it was a whole lot cheaper than that to cover me and my wife. And at this time, my son was still a dependent. So we were like, we'd have our child we need to cover, and me and my wife. So we said, okay, that's good. We'll start insurance. And we started that about a month before I found out, believe it or not. So I believe the Lord led us to that too, and we got our health insurance. Otherwise, I'd had about $100,000 in debt through all this. We had to pay part of it, but we'd had owed about $100,000 of it. But anyway, getting into the story of what happened, my doctor says, I want to send you to a heart doctor, and he named a couple, and one of them I was familiar with. So I said, I want to go to that one. So he set me up to that doctor, and I went for a visit, and he said, well, I want to send you to get a heart cath done. That's where they go. They call it different names, but I call it a heart cath. But they go up in your groin with this deal, and they look up here and run up wire up here into your chest and look at all this. So then they tell me that I'm a walking dead man, that I've got my Widowmaker one and another one are 100% blocked, and I've got a couple others that are, one that's 80 and one's like 50, but the two that are 100%, I should have been dead, but the only reason I was living is that they had made little hair-like vessels. There's a term they call that, but little hair-like vessels had grown around them. That had kept me alive, and I believe the Lord was keeping me alive for a purpose. And but they said, you're not getting enough blood to your heart, and as bad as you are, we can't believe there's not any heart damage. They said you have had a light heart attack, and I think I had done that out here pouring cement one day. I got mad and I just pushed myself until I hurt so bad my eyes watered, and I finally come in and the pain didn't go away as easy as normal, and I took a couple of aspirins and to something to help the pain go away, and also took a stomach pill, one of those antacid deals, and I laid down in here, and when I woke up a couple hours later, the pain was gone, but I was very tired, and I really believe that was when I just about killed myself that day. But they said I had a light heart attack. Anyway, they operated on me and done open heart surgery and did a triple bypass. They were going to do 4 and couldn't do the 4th one, the one that was just partially blocked. They decided to leave that, said it would cause possibly more damage to fix that than it would have done me good. That's fine. I've done really, really well. And it's hard. I'll just tell you, when you do open heart surgery, it takes you a while to get over it. So for 30 days after the surgery, I didn't work. They told me I should go on disability, because of the diabetes and that I was a prime candidate. I was 48 years old. I should go and get on disability, but I never went and got on disability. After 30 days, I begged to go back to work. I went back to work, had to get me a little bitty tool bag to do my trade with because of the weight. I couldn't lift but just a few pounds was my limit, and then they released a little bit of that, and I think it was 20 pounds limit for a while. And so, but I survived as soon as I could. My son, he was still in school, but he took care of the farm here, and he helped he fed the animals, took care as soon as I could get back. In fact, within the next day that I was back home here, I was wanting to help and do what I could. I wanted to be active because I knew that if I didn't get active, I would not recover well. But when you have open heart surgery, if you ever happen to have that done, unless your doctor tells you not to do it, get active. When you're in the hospital, walk. I walked in the hospital. It was because I got so stiff as a board. I mean, I couldn't hardly. The next day after the surgery, I wanted up to walk, and I did walk. And they told me the more you walk, the quicker you get to go home. And I was ready. And after 5 days, I'll tell you, I was definitely ready to come home. And you eat their food. I'm used to my wife's great cooking here, and I'll tell you, up there, that food was horrible. And I was glad to get home, and I got to come home, and I'll tell you, the things were so much brighter, and I was so much more humbler when I come home here, and I thank God for it. But I'm just going to say this, if you ever have it done, it takes a while, and it took me a year to really get back on my feet again. But within a month, I was back starting to work, not full force, but I was able to work, thank the Lord. And but it did hurt our income. But for a month, without any income and being self-employed, we had enough money put back that my wife, we was able to pay the bills. And really, for 2 or 3 months there, we survived on very, very little. What little money I made, it was working. It was in the winter time. Excuse me again. Today I ate something that hasn't settled. So I'm sorry about that. Anyway, for a while we had to make it on less, and which was fine. We were prepared for that. We had enough food put back that my wife just went to the store for the bare necessities, a few little things like milk and maybe a little bit of bread, and she was able to make it, on very, very little, and our utilities was very small, and so we were able, with the money we had saved back and what I made, we never missed a meal. the money I made. We did have a few people give us money, 100 here and there. While I was in the hospital, that's just a common practice around here. There was lots of visitors come and saw, and different ones would bring 100 here or there, or 20 here and there, whatever. And and people would have helped more if we would have needed it, but we didn't. We made it just fine, even without those donations given to us. People want to help. Mom and Dad, they of course they would have helped all the time. If you ever need, all I had to do is call them, they would have helped. But where I'm a mature grown adult, and I feel like I don't want people's help if I can keep from it. But sometimes there just comes a time that you may need it, and praise God that they were here. But anyway, we survived and done very well, and I believe it's because we had prepared, and it tested our preparation skills. And so just to tell you, it pays to prepare, and it pays to listen to what God's laid upon your heart. And I'll tell you right now, I'm not telling people to go out and panic. I've tried to make this as easy and light as I can, because I think sometimes people run out and panic, and they buy a whole lot of stuff that they'll never eat. They go in debt for food to store back, and I would just say this: buy a little bit along every week. That's what we did, and before long you got some good stores of food put back. You don't have to buy. Why would I need to buy many years of food? I'm just not going to do that. I have thought about getting some of those buckets of that Food-Wise stuff and put that back. Someone had mentioned, what about longer than a year? Because I've been pretty much preaching, get a year's food put back, and work in the summer to put a year's food. And I'm talking about more fresh foods, like canned goods and stuff you could put in your freezer. And then in the winter, meats, you can can them up, like during the winter when it's cold. That's a good time to can some of the stuff up that you've put in your freezer, and that'll last longer. But these buckets of freeze-dried type foods, or you can buy you a freeze-dryer, they're kind of expensive. A bunch of people around here have got freeze dryers, and they're kind of a big thing, look like a dryer or like a clothes dryer is what they kind of look like to me. But I've seen several people around here has got them, and now that's a good investment if you want something like that. But you can buy buckets and put back, and I've seen several people around here that's got these put back. They'll have them in the corner of their dining room, or in the corner of their pantry or their laundry room, and they'll have a bucket or two of food put back. And you can buy buckets and get several years worth of food back if you want. Now I'm just going to tell you, I've ate this type of food before, and MREs, meals ready to eat, are not very good. If you think they're delicious, you must not know how to cook, because I've never ate one of those that was worth eating. So, I mean, if you're hungry, anything tastes good. But it just leaves a lot to be desired. And to me, that's what these buckets of food, I've not ate any of these buckets of food, but that's what I believe they're going to be like. And I know there's going to be comments, oh, it tastes like homemade. No, it don't taste like. There's no way that that's going to be like fresh homemade that my wife makes here. But if we were starving, if our family was starving, if we were in a grid down situation, they call it, life-changing event, we would eat that stuff if we had to. In my lifetime, there's been a few times we've had to eat stuff that we otherwise wouldn't have ate, but it was because if we didn't, we would have gone hungry. So, I will eat stuff, but I'm kind of spoiled, and Americans are spoilt rotten. We've been so blessed of the Lord, and we've took it for granted, but we've had so much food we throw away and waste tons of food. That is a problem in landfills today, is the wasting of food. I'll tell you something we do here with our food, our leftover food. My wife cooks smaller portions nowadays because we have to watch what we eat, and I'm trying to watch my calories and the type of food. We try to eat more whole foods and healthy foods and low carb type foods because of our sugar and stuff. So anyway, we're a lot less food, but when we do have leftover food and it's got to be thrown out, we feed it to our chickens, Our chickens eat it, and they turn it into more food. So it's a win-win, as they call it in the tech world. That's a win-win situation for us. So it helps. But there's a lot of food being thrown away because we're so blessed and we're so spoiled. But I would eat that food, and I have not purchased any yet. I'm debating on which would be the best type of food to get, but those buckets would probably be good, and they would be handy to put back. I have got a couple of spots that I thought I could hide some buckets of food like that and put back. And if somebody ever came in here and robbed us of all of our canned goods and stuff, we would still have food put back somewhere that we could add water to. Most of that you can add water to, build you a little fire and cook. But just to, once again, any of those type meals that come in a bag and you open up, if when you've walked all day or something and that's all you can get, you're thankful for it, but it is not something that I would say, oh, go get me one of them MREs out of the cupboard and fix that up tonight, honey. Maybe when I was batching I might have wanted that, but I've been married now for I guess we're working on our 26th year, and I just can't ever remember being that desperate that I would have ate one of those. But if we need it, it would be nice. And so someone had mentioned that, what to do for long term, and that's what I would recommend. That's what I'm looking into, and may buy a bucket or two of that. My wife said Walmart's starting to sell some little buckets, our local Walmart. You might be able to get big buckets of that food stuff at Sam's or somewhere that's freeze dried, but it'd be something for a long term. If there could be a possibility that we'd get into long term. They're talking about solar minimum, global warming, floods, volcanoes, earthquakes. I mean, we've had it right here in our own community, floods. We've even had earthquakes. Not that done any damage, but we have felt tremors here in Oklahoma. I mean, I grew up never even I thought earthquakes only happened out in California and Japan, but they have everywhere. So, and tornadoes. We just had a video out of a tornado that went across back here. So having extra means put back, and I think with the volatility that we are, even our political climate is so severe today, being set up, and your health, I'm telling you folks, just like that, my world changed, and I'm back now doing super good, and I feel good, and other than I get a little more tired than I used to did. I turned 50 this summer, so I am I'm slowing some, and I think that heart surgery has slowed me down a little bit, but I feel wonderful, and I'm able to work every day. I'm just doing great, but I know something else could happen in my life. I could have another life-changing event happen, and being prepared for that, I never had to go sign up for welfare, and I thank God that I never did do that, even though they recommended that I go on disability. I said I didn't want to do that. I want to work as long as my hands, and I knew at the moment I wasn't able to, but I've been able to work with my hands. And I know some of you that's watching aren't able to work with your hands, and you're having to take assistance. And I'm not talking about retirement or Social Security retirement. I'm talking about just being disabled. And our community around here is ate up with people. It may just be something that's going on here, but there is a lot of people here that are drawing disability, either a military disability or a Social Security disability, and some are drawing both, and there's nothing wrong with them. I mean, they can work. There's no reason they can't get out and do what I'm able to do, and yet they're drawn from the government, and that I'm afraid is going to be one of the ruinations of our country. But I believe if you'll get out and work, you can do something. You can be successful, and that's what I want to do. I want to try to do God's will, and I want to work until I can't anymore. That day may come. And I told different ones, I said, if it gets to where I can't work and I got to go on disability, we'll see about it then. But as long as I can work, and God will bless the work of my hands, I'll continue to do what I'm doing right now. And anyway, I sure appreciate you watching today. Remember our drawing. If you'll comment to this video and throughout this week, 19th through the 20. whatever, let's see, 20, I had a little paper here and it blew away, 21st, whatever, but through Sunday, this is Tuesday, so through Sunday, any videos that we have out, just comment. You only got to comment once. You can comment all you want to, but we're only going to allow you one comment per video as far as being entered into the drawing. And if you'll do that, we'll announce next Tuesday who the winner is. Next Tuesday here at Porch Talk, I'm going to announce who my winner is at the end of that video. And if you're the winner, we'll have you contact us. You'll have to contact us via email, or you can write me a letter. Either way, everybody can write letters. If you don't do emails, you can mail me a letter, and I'll give you my address, and you can write a letter, and then we'll allow a few weeks open there for people to respond back. And if you're the winner, we'll mail you a $50 gift card. And we're going to have 2 of those $50 gift cards. They are not, and they're from Tractor Supply. Tractor Supply is not giving them to it. It's from a private donation that those are available. They're not from Tractor Supply. I wish they were sponsoring me, but I go there just about every week and buy a little something from Tractor Supply. But maybe one of these days we'll be big enough they'll want to sponsor our channel. But right now it'll be the Tractor Supply Company gift card giveaway, and we're going to be giving 2 separate drawings, 2 separate winners, $50 each. And hey, we appreciate you watching today. If you aren't a subscriber, please subscribe. It just blesses my heart every day to see new subscribers. And if you've never commented, comment whether you want the card or not. Maybe you don't have a Tractor Supply in your area, and that's another thing. If you don't have, we'll work on something different for you, especially for you if you do not have a Tractor Supply in your area. Anyway, you can also buy online, but there might be some people primitive enough still yet, which probably be a nice way to be, that you don't buy online, and Tractor Supply would do you absolute no good. And if not, we'll see what we can do there. Anyway, we appreciate you today. God bless you, and we'll see you next week here at Porch Talk. And we're gone.